Newcastle versus Brighton. I know most people are backing us to win this one, and fair enough, because Brighton hasn't exactly been a happy hunting ground for us over recent years. Even the optimist in me should probably play it safe and go for a draw on this one, but playing it safe, I think we can come away from the Amex with 3 points. Now, maybe I'm being deluded, maybe I'm just seeing everything through black and white glasses. Brighton are a bit of a bogey team for us, we've never won there in the Premier League, but there is some reasoning as to why I think we can win. But before we jump straight into the reasons why I think we can win, I'm just going to go over quickly what we know about the team at the moment, and then we'll jump straight into it. So at the moment we know Joelinton's out for the rest of the season, so I'd probably expect Willock to start again in his place. Eddie did say in his press conference last week that Willock prefers the left-sided role, Miley prefers the right-sided role, so it is more of a natural swap to put Willock in for Joelinton, and he said that way it just has less upset on the balance of the team as a whole. So yeah, just because it's the natural swap, that's what I'm expecting to happen there. Other than that, I don't really see many changes from our strongest 11. Botman and Gordon still at 100%, and we might see Gordon come on a little bit earlier this week, but I think regarding Botman and Gordon both getting back into the starting 11, both Burn and Barnes have both done enough that as good as Botman and Gordon are, I'm not sure either of them are going to end up nailed on starters at any point for the rest of this season, not with only 4 games left to go. But anyway, let's get on to the real reason you've probably clicked the video, and that is, why do I think we can win at the Amex despite never winning at the Amex in the Premier League? So there's a few reasons, but firstly, this isn't the same Newcastle United. So despite it being a record that we haven't won at the Amex, this Newcastle United team has essentially said, fuck your records, because if they can win a trophy for the first time in 70 years, getting a win at the Amex Stadium seems a relatively small order in comparison. And yes, I know the critics will say it's only a Carabao Cup, humble yourself, and that's why I've got more reasons than just we won a Carabao Cup, therefore we can beat everyone. Obviously, I don't think that. I might be deluded sometimes, but I'm not that deluded. The simple point there being records are there to be broken, and if any team is going to start breaking these records, this is the team that's going to start breaking these records. But to get into the reasons that have a bit more substance behind them as to why I think we can beat Brighton, firstly, Brighton are in horrible form at the moment. 1 win in their last 6 in the league, or 7 in all competitions. And for context, that win was against West Ham, and they nearly lost that one too. And it gets worse. In that run, they drew with Leicester at home. Now, to be fair, there is a bit of context behind that bad run of form. So if there are any Brighton fans watching, I understand why you're playing that badly at the moment, and I understand that it is unfair to label Brighton as being that bad of a team, because there is reasoning behind it. But still, at the moment, that's where they're at. Now, if we look at our form in comparison, we've won 20 of our last 26. And whenever we do lose, it usually tends to serve as a major wake-up call, and we usually go on a pretty good run of form after losing. And having said that, we lost to Villa the other week, got slapped 4-1, so naturally, I expect us to go on and win every game for the rest of this season and next season. And when we look at our run of 20 wins in 26 games, that upturn in form lines up almost exactly with Eddie realizing that Sandro wasn't spelled S-E-A-N. So once he put the right name on the team sheet, that's when our season started to take an upturn. And jokes aside, I get it, because when we first tried to put Sandro and Bruno in the same team, it didn't really work very well. The balance wasn't right. But since we've switched Sandro to the 6 and put Bruno further up the field, we've been a different beast. So yeah, point being, we're class. Also, just out of curiosity, do you agree that switching Bruno and Tonali and getting that balance between them two, do you agree that that was the turning point of our season? Because I've seen some fans, I guess, trying to defend Sean Longstaff, and I don't dislike the guy in any way, of course I don't, but I've seen some fans try and make the case that we lost to West Ham after that change. We've still had some bad results after that change. So I want to know genuinely if people agree that that is the turning point of the season, or whether or not people have other theories as to what the turning point of the season was. But anyway, moving on, tactical setup. Now this is the point where I've got the crystal ball out, because I can quite literally see how we're going to win against Brighton. I can see images vividly. So I did a bit of digging into stats, FB, Ref, Opta, all these kind of places. And I know football isn't played on paper, but when the numbers show what I'm about to tell you, I can't help but seeing very vivid images of Jacob Murphy. So from the stats, I managed to take away 2 main things, and they are Brighton's 2 biggest defensive weaknesses. So the first thing that I noticed is they play a high line, so they're quite open to being punished on the counter. And then the second thing I noticed is they concede the most balls into the box from the right side or their left side. And the attacks from that side are generally not through inverted wingers cutting in, it's generally through balls into the box from the right side. So from that, if you're not already picturing Murphy sprinting in behind, Isak waiting in the middle, then your crystal ball is broken and I can't help you, I'm sorry. But anyway, moving on, there's more reasons than I just saw it in my crystal ball. There's more reasons than that. So the next one is Brighton's squad issues. So I did say earlier, it's not entirely fair for me to criticise Brighton's recent run of form as a reflection of how good they are as a club at the moment. Because ultimately, the reason they're in such a horrible run of form is largely down to the fact that they don't have their usual team. So we'll start with the most recent one, João Pedro, top scorer, suspended. Now that doesn't really fully reflect their recent run of form because he's not been out for that long, it's just a red card. But he's red carded for this game, so that helps our chances. Then you've got Ruter, their fourth top scorer, I think it was, injured, and they've still got threats in the team. They've got Matoma, Minter, Welbeck, but losing top attackers, especially your top goal scorer, is definitely going to hurt you and hurt your chances going into the next few games. And Ruter especially is really important to how Herzl tries to play. And then defensively, their squad issues get even worse. They've had to stick 2 midfielders in the back 4 last week. I think they've had to do that for a few games now as well. And it's looking like some of the defenders might be about to return, but even if Veltman returns this week, he's still not going to be match sharp. He didn't play at all last week, so he's not going to be playing his best. And Isak makes even the sharpest of defenders look like Titus Bramble when they try and play a high line. Just to put Brighton's defensive situation into perspective, Brighton have conceded 1 less goal this season than Spurs. Spurs.
It's just who we are, mate.
That statistic alone tells you everything about where Brighton are right now. Even if they do get a couple of defenders back, I just don't think all that bodes well for them. But anyway, yeah, as I said at the start, the safe prediction on this one would probably be to go with a draw. And if I had to go with a draw, I'd probably go with a score draw because both teams can attack, but they also both have flaws at the back. That wasn't meant to rhyme. But ultimately, we're better at both. And I know in my running prediction video, I went with a draw, but when you look at the tactics, the form, the injuries, when you put all that into perspective, I can't really sit on the fence with it anymore. And I think I've swayed more towards a win now. And I get that going for the win in this game is probably not the smart call. I should probably go for a draw, but it does just feel like the right time to break the curse and finally get a win at the Amex. And just a quick little point on that run-in prediction video. I said I thought Bournemouth would do Arsenal this weekend. I couldn't be more confident about that now after their result against PSG. And also, I'd worked it out that Man City were beating Wolves. But if you look at Wolves' current form, that is not an easy game. I think they're the form team in the Premier League and potentially even the form team in Europe right now. I can't remember which one it was I saw the statistic of. But the point being, Wolves are on fucking fire. Now, it is Man City towards the end of the season where they really do turn it on. But the point is, that could be an upset for Man City this weekend. So there's something to look out for there as well. But anyway, back to my predictions for our game. Maybe it's just illusion. Maybe it's just black and white tinted glasses. But if we do pull it off, if you've laughed at my preview here, I fully expect some apologies in the comments afterwards. And if we don't pull it off, well, we pretend this video never happened.
It's false. It never happened. It's a fake. It's fiction. It's an urban legend that never happened. No way. We got you. Not a chance. Not this time. It never happened.
Anyway, massive game, massive step towards Champions League football. Hopefully I've been able to give some of you some optimism going into this game. If we don't end up winning, I'm sorry because I know it's the hope that kills you. But I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have enjoyed it, please remember to drop a like, subscribe, hit the bell, and I'll see you on the next one.